Hello, everyone. If you've landed here, you've landed on Let's Talk News with your host, me, Leticia Remauro. This is a beautiful Sunday night. The daylight savings time has kicked in, so it feels like midnight, even though it's 8 o'clock. I hope you all remember to set your clocks back. Uh, got another extra hour of sleep, which was cool. But it just screws with your head. I mean, my dogs um, were looking for their dinner an hour earlier than they should have eaten. Um, it's, as I say, like midnight outside. So I'm sure lots of you are cozy and comfy on the couch or in your bed and saying, why is this woman bothering us today? But thank you for being with us. Please drop a comment and help drive this conversation. We've got a lot of things to speak about tonight. Um, Most specifically Arctic frost, and how the Democrats and Joe Biden were the actual threat to democracy. But before we get to that, I wanted to show you something that I saw today. You know, the Democrat Socialists of America, they're the ones that, start that No Kings rally stuff. I want you to take a look at this. They sent this out today. Join Jeremy Corbyn and make calls for Zoran tonight from the Democrat Socialists of America. So you might say, who is Jeremy Corbyn, right? So here he is. He is a member of parliament, and he is a member of the Socialist Campaign Group. Now, is it just me? Democrat Socialists of America organize, along with others, the No Kings Day rallies all over the country. Yet they've got a member of parliament, which is a monarchy government, meaning there's a king, making phone calls for Zoran Mamdani. Can't make this shit up, man. Does anybody else see the hypocrisy there? Or is it just me? Anyone? Crazy. Hello, Andrew Dorman. Good to have you with us. Hello, Francine. Happy Sunday. Hi, Kim. Good evening from the Big Rotten Apple. What's going to happen on Tuesday? Well, I think that we're going to have a lot of surprises on Tuesday. That's my feeling. Hello, Angela Ricca. I feel like Andrew Cuomo is starting to get ahead of steam. And I think that we're going to see him eke this thing out. I don't think that it's going to be a mandate, but I think he's going to eke it out. I think that if Curtis had decided to join forces with Cuomo, which is something that they should have done before, then Curtis would have been in a position to actually be a watchdog on the Cuomo administration, and he could have had his 2 cents in. If you recall, if you're old enough to remember 1993 and Rudy Giuliani, that's what Rudy did. He had a fusion ticket. He was on the liberal line and the Republican line, and it was a fusion government, and they managed to work things out where it was a balanced government. It didn't tilt too far right or too far left. It was really, really, I worked in the administration in those early years. It was a really good balance. And that could have happened here too. Hello, Professor. Good to have you. So I think it's unfortunate. Could it still happen? I think it still could happen. I mean, Curtis has all of tomorrow to, talk to Cuomo, and I know Cuomo has reached out to him. I did hear Cuomo on some of the Sunday shows today. I was not happy with the way he was, talking about Curtis. I know he's frustrated, but, he was kind of bad mouthing Curtis, talking about, I don't know if you all remember when Curtis said that he was beat up by somebody or another, and he really wasn't. He was bringing that up. I don't think I would have gone that route if I was him. I would have, appealed to the Curtis voters by saying Curtis is a great guy. I implore him, come into my administration. Let's join forces. Let's stop this really bad guy, Mamdani. But Curtis was running against Cuomo, which I thought was a very bad idea on Curtis's part, because Mamdani was your target. And now Cuomo is running against Curtis, and I think that's a bad idea. But at the end of the day, I do think that Cuomo's going to eke it out. I understand a lot of teachers are voting for Cuomo. I understand a lot of conservative leaning people are voting for Cuomo. I know he has been doing outreach to a lot of organized groups. I got a call over the weekend from some of them talking about what they were going to do to pull out the vote. So I think that Cuomo's got he's got the boots on the ground, I hope. Hello, Mickey Patrides. Good Sunday to you too, and to Mom. Give her hugs and kisses. I was surprised that Greg Kelly wasn't supporting Curtis. I think that there's a problem with the support for Curtis. The problem with the support for Curtis is that Curtis is going to get, if he does, exactly what Republicans usually get in a mayoral race, which is about 13%. Last time he got 28%, which was really, really good for a Republican. But you cannot, we talked about this on the show a couple of times with different people. You cannot change the numbers. The registration is not there for Curtis. As a matter of fact, there were Republicans that are going for Cuomo. And there's a reason, because Curtis isn't a Republican. You have to remember that. Curtis isn't a Republican. If Vicky Palladino would have run for the seat, that would have been a different story. She had been a Democrat at one time, but she is a Republican, and she's a solid Republican. Curtis is not. Curtis, became a Republican 4 years ago to run. He was always a minor party candidate, and I helped him on those lines, and I was happy to do it. But there is no Republican running in this race. Let's everybody be clear. There is no Republican in the mayor's race in 2025. And there's only one person who has the experience to actually run this government and run it well. And that would be Cuomo. Mamdani doesn't have the experience, and neither does Curtis. As far as what you believe in your heart and who, what did Cuomo do, and did you like him and did you not? Thank you, brother from another mother. You are the best. Cuomo did some bad shit. He did some good shit before he did the bad shit. And I think he can do some good shit again. The thing is that, sometimes you just have to look and say, would you rather have somebody who is going to be learning on the job, sitting in City Hall? Look at what happened in Trump, in Trump 45. It was a mess. I mean, he, as a businessman, did a great job, but he didn't understand the landscape of Washington, which is why he got eaten and why there was so much turmoil and chaos. He comes back as 47 now, having been a businessman, but now having the experience of Washington, knowing who to trust and who not to trust, and it's a whole different ball game as 47. Curtis and Mamdani cannot learn on the job. And here's the thing, too, about Mamdani. Mamdani is making all these promises that he can't keep, and I think he's doing it intentionally because he doesn't have any intention of keeping any promises. The only reason he is running for that seat is to expand the socialism in New York City. Do you think if Cuomo was out, Curtis would have had a shot? Lou, no, because the numbers are not there. If Cuomo was out, Curtis might have had maybe hit 20%, but he would not have hit 51%. Remember, the number is 51%. That's what you have to have. I understand what you're saying, but in my eyes, Curtis did the best in the debates. That may be so. But when you sit down with your checkbook, if you're a good writer, is it going to show when you're trying to balance your checkbook? If you're really good at talking and debating, is that going to mean that you're a good earner if you're a steel worker? No, the things don't translate. So you need to have somebody who has the relationships, the understanding. You got Mamdani telling people he's going to lower their rent and give them free bus fare. And what's the other thing he wants to do? Oh, grocery stores, none of which he can deliver. He can't deliver on any of it. Curtis understands a little bit more about the inner workings of government because he has been commenting on it for many, many years. But take it from somebody who has been on the inside of government on every level, federal, city, and state of New York. It is not easy, and there's a lot of moving parts, and it's easy to get eaten by the bureaucrats. It's the bureaucrats that are the problem. They're the ones that are going to give whoever goes in the hard time. And if you're not used to handling bureaucrats and shutting them down, you're never going to get anything done. My concern is if you're learning on the job in New York City and you're not even a business person, you can't even balance your own checkbook. See, that's the thing about Curtis. I love him, but he made it a point of letting people know he was poor. He's poor. He's still poor. He's going to be poor. He's always poor. He doesn't know how to balance his own checkbook. And I appreciate, his love of cats and all that thing, but I think that, instead of talking about saving the animals, we should have been talking about saving the people. And if Curtis was going to have somebody else helping the government, then those people should have been standing next to him every single press conference. And that's kind of my feeling on the whole thing. And I'm sorry if you don't agree. I see that we have people dropping off, but when you land here, you're going to hear it like it is. You're going to hear it like it is. And I said it before, vote your conscience. It's great to vote your conscience, but then you're going to have to live with the consequences. So you got to remember, again, there is no Republican in this race. No Republican in this race. There is a socialist, there's a Democrat, and there's I don't want to call him a libertarian, a conservative leaning independent. How's that for Curtis? Okay, so you got a socialist, you've got a Democrat, and you've got an independent. That's who you have in this race. And you've got two with no experience in government, and you've got one with experience in government. You've got two that have never done anything for government, and you've got one that have done some good things and some bad things. But at least there's a track record. I get it. Just disappointed with the current situation. We all are, Lou. We all are. And, that could have been avoided. I had said it here from the beginning. I said it when I was still there. Allison Esposito, who ran for lieutenant governor with Lee Zeldin, should have been the candidate. She had wanted it in 2021, and they played some shenanigans, and Curtis got it then. And it was too bad because she was and is a great candidate, police chief and decorated, police hero. She actually saved Zeldin, right, from that crazy guy with the brass knuckles jumping up on the stage when they were running. Great candidate she was and is, and they should have went after her and gotten her and brought her up. And if not her, then they should have really pressed Vicky Palladino to run. True blue New Yorkers with backbones and women, which helps, right? But we have a suck-ass Republican Party. We do. The Ed Cox, I like him as a person. Horrible head of the Republican Party. We got AJ Katz in Manhattan. Love her. Absolutely love her. But we can't do... And she, I'm not going to say that she follows dad because she doesn't. She has her own perspective on things. But the thing that happens in Manhattan is that it's full of money and it's full of consultants, that party. And so they run anybody with money and they never run anybody to win. I don't like that Cuomo is for the city of yes. I don't either. But like I said, see, this is where he and Curtis could have gotten together and something could have happened there. Okay, but Adams was for the city of yes, and you had Vito Fossella up Adams' ass, and I think now he's even supporting Cuomo. So, no matter what, you're always going to have that negotiation, especially in New York City. But what I want is somebody who is pissed off at the Democrat Socialists, and Cuomo is pissed off at the Democrat Socialists. He's got an axe to grind, and I want to see that happen. That's the important thing there. The socialist is running D. The D is running as an independent. The conservative is running as an R. We're all messed up. No, he's not a conservative. The socialist is running as a D. The D is running as an independent. And then the independent is running as a Republican. That's how that's going. Good catch, Kim, because that's true. Yeah, I know Republican. Yeah. It's if Curtis and Cuomo had gotten together, Curtis could have said to him, "You want to know what? We got to scrap city of yes. It's going to destroy Staten Island. Queens is already destroyed, and that's Cuomo's borough, right? Because that's where he was born and his father was born. And Mamdani and AOC have destroyed Queens. It is what did they call it? Communist Queens, they call it now. They call everybody comrade out there. It's really, really bad. But they could have joined forces, and Curtis could have been the first deputy mayor, and he should have been in charge of safety, public safety. He should have been in charge of the police. Cuomo's going to need all the help he could get. He's going to need some decent Republicans. It would be great if like Joe Borelli is no longer in office, but he loves Curtis. He's a good friend of Curtis, just as I am. But he's been talking about it, and he's been saying, you vote for Curtis, you're throwing your vote. You're giving your vote to Mamdani in essence. Now, I won't go that far because I don't think 350,000 people. Would it be better for them to go to Cuomo? Yeah, but will they go to Cuomo? No. Maybe 100,000 might, but the rest will stay home. They were never going to come out. They're not coming out for Cuomo, and they only come out for the people in the Democrat line. But this whole Michigan is happening because the Republicans are weak. The Staten Island Republicans are weak. What they did with these deals, and God bless Assembly Member Tanusis, but I disagree with him 1,000% on how he runs things. And as a former county chair, I get to criticize. You need to run somebody on every single line. There always has to be a competition, because if you don't provide a competition, then when it comes to election day, people won't come out to vote. And if people don't come out to vote enough times in a row, people won't come out to vote, period, because they feel like all the deals are made in the back room. That's why we have such a problem in getting people to vote in New York City on election day. They come out for primary day because that's usually when it's decided who's going to be the next mayor, city councilman, whatever, because it's a Democrat city. So, and that's because there's no real competition being run. We ran a real campaign for Nicole Maliotakis, and it energized people. But what the Staten Island Republicans are doing, and the Brooklyn Republicans and the Manhattan Republicans, they threw their hands in the air and they just gave up. The consultants are making money on that 8-to-1 match, right? Because every dollar is matched 8-to-1, and the people lose. I hate it. It drives me insane. I can screw things up. No, I didn't mean you screwed things up. Please, I wasn't criticizing. I just, maybe I didn't mean to criticize. I know I sounded like I was criticizing, but you got it. Your point came singing through. It's really, really crazy. All right, so tonight we're going to talk about Arctic frost, because want to talk about what goes on. A threat to democracy. Well, we have some third world shit happening here. We have some real I don't even know what you would call this. I mean, this is not when the president has the FBI spying on the opposite party, trying to get stuff together so that he can kill his political opponent and put him in jail forever. whether it was Obama or Biden. That's what happened. So just listen to this.
Chuck Grassley releasing additional FBI files revealing hundreds more Republican groups and individuals were targeted in a phishing expedition brought by special counsel Jack Smith. They tracked all the phone calls of sitting elected officials as well as Republican groups. The subpoenas covered 34 people and 163 businesses, including financial institutions, which sought information on more than 430 individuals and organizations tied to Republicans. Even Truth Social and Devin Nunes was tracked.
This is like so many of the investigations we've done, Maria. The only thing we get wrong when we start these investigations is it's always worse than we thought. And this one was certainly the case because, I mean, this was so expansive, so broad. Senator Grassley is exactly right. This was a complete phishing expedition. They got Dan Scavino's bank records. Dan Scavino was the social media guy who ran all of President Trump's social media accounts, talented guy. They went after his bank records, for goodness sake. That's how ridiculous this entire thing was.
It's been a lot worse than just being ridiculous. I mean, this is bordering on criminal. For example, on the Devin Nunes and Trump's, Truth Social Corporation, Trump Media and Technology. We've got this tweet from Devin Nunes, and I want to know what Trump Media Telecom company has to do with January 6th. What does Truth Social and Devin Nunes have to do with January 6th? Why was he among those tracked?
Yeah, I mean, good question. I want to know why, like, almost all these subpoenas were just administrative subpoenas as well. There wasn't some judge saying, oh, there's probable cause to think Dan Scavino is somehow involved in criminal activity, so you can go get his bank records. I mean, there was none of that. This was just coming from Jack Smith, just subpoenas to get this information, and it looks like all these entities just turned it over. No one pushed back and said, wait a minute, do you really need all this? So, yeah, I mean, I think this is why and remember the background here. This is the same Jack Smith who got the gag order on President Trump. This is the same Jack Smith who raided President Trump's home. This is the same Jack Smith where one of his lieutenants tried to pressure a defendant's counsel. We know that Stanley Woodward testified and said, they come up to me and said, oh, we didn't know you were a Trump guy. We thought you were interested in this federal judge position, trying to intimidate a defendant's counsel in the middle of this investigation. And, of course, this is the same Jack Smith where a couple of his lieutenants who came to work for the special counsel were the same individuals who took Scott Perry's phone, took the phone of a sitting member of Congress. And then, of course, we learned they're spying on 8 United States senators. And then these 180 subpoenas to all these individuals, all these Republican entities on this amazing phishing expedition. That's what Jack Smith did. That's why we want him for a deposition.
So it's basically fascist shit, right? Maduro did almost exactly the same thing and worse in Venezuela to make sure that he retained power. This is third world country shit. And this is what Biden did to Trump and to the Republicans. This is crazy, crazy stuff. It's sad. It's scary. It's, way worse than Watergate. It's horrifying, absolutely horrifying. How do you think the commie will impact Staten Island if he's in? So listen, here's his goal. A couple of days ago, we dug deep into the Democrat Socialists of America. I want you to understand that Mamdani is an assemblyman right now in Albany. And he hasn't introduced one bill. He hasn't done anything to help his constituents. He hasn't done anything. When I say anything, as an assembly member, he could have impacted the state budget by putting money in to offset the fares on the buses to get free buses for the MTA. He could have done that as an assembly member, as part of the budget. He could have given more money to the MTA earmarked to offset fares. He didn't do that. He didn't do anything to help landlords to keep the price of housing down. I mean, I'm not saying I agree with any of this, but these are his promises as the mayor, where he can't do any of these things. But he could have given subsidies to landlords to artificially lower rent prices, the same way the Chuck Schumer and Congress have and the Senate have shut down the government because they want to give subsidies to the insurance companies to artificially lower the cost for Obamacare. Could Mamdani have done that as an assemblyman? Absolutely. Did he? No, he didn't do that. He could have put more state money, in the budget. He could have fought for more state money to reduce the cost of groceries or to create a state grocery store. Could he have done that? Absolutely. Did he do that? No, he did not. So why am I going through this exercise with you? Because here's the thing. Mamdani did nothing as an assemblyman to help the people in his district or of New York. The only reason he took the seat was to spread socialism through Queens. And that's what he did. He spread socialism through Queens. We took a Republican borough, a one-time Republican borough, not the whole borough, but there were a lot of Republicans in the city council and the Senate and the assembly from Queens, lots of Republicans, and he made that a socialist borough. When he gets to the mayoralty, his goal is to spread socialism through New York City. He almost beat Cuomo on Staten Island. He nearly beat Cuomo on Staten Island in the primary. Think about that. That means that Staten Island, remember, more Democrats than Republicans registered. They vote more conservatively. The Republicans, the Democrats, and the independents vote more conservatively. But the Democrats have an edge on the Republicans in registration. So that means that nearly half of the Democrats in Staten Island are socialists. That's a problem. That's going to be the impact on Staten Island. My prediction is that if Mamdani is in, you will not see Republicans elected on Staten Island anymore. They will go away one at a time. It'll start in Congress, and it will move its way through to city council and to the assembly, and it'll be done. And here's my bigger concern is Mamdani will have control of the New York City Board of Elections and lots of judges. So you can play a lot of games when you're in direct control of agencies like that. So that's my answer to you, Lou. He's going to Staten Island, as we know it, will be gone. Okay, so that was all about Jack Smith. But listen now to this little clip about Boasberg, who is well, listen.
Rot is so deep, it's unbelievable, Mr. Chairman. We've got new reports revealing that the Biden FBI used a security clearance process to potentially retaliate against a whistleblower, even tried to interrogate his wife while denying her repeated requests for an attorney, Mr. Chairman.
Yeah.
So the Democrats are always talking about all these whistleblowers, but when it's a whistleblower on the other side, well, then they want to retaliate.
That was the pattern with the Wray FBI and the Biden Justice Department. Any whistleblower came forward, there was retaliation, and where they went was the security clearance, which is what an FBI agent has to have. And so they did it with Marcus Allen, they did it with Garrett O'Boyle, now they're doing it with this individual. And this one was even worse because they tried to intimidate his wife and harass his wife. They said, we want to interview your wife, and she said, well, I'd like to have counsel there. They said, no, we want to talk to you now. I mean, that's how bad it was.
Oh, do you want to see any accountability for Judge Boasberg? I keep seeing Judge Boasberg's name come up in terms of authorizing some of this, Congressman.
Yeah, no, I think that's something we can look into. Of course, Judge Boasberg's also the individual who was at the heart of the matter with Mr. Brejo Garcia, earlier this year, the migrant who that was on part of this whole operation with Homeland Security and Tom Homan and everything else. So, yeah, I do think that's something we can look into. And of course, we've passed legislation on these injunctions, which we think is helpful. We passed it through the House. It's now in the Senate. So we're looking at that issue as well, as we move forward.
I guess he was the one who gave a slap on the wrist arrest to the FBI agent who really was not truthful about Carter Page. So I remember his name in the Russia collusion story as well.
No,
it's interesting to see the same characters keep coming back.
Okay. So under the Biden administration, the FBI had some strong arm tactics. Sounds a little bit like Maduro. Sounds a little bit like a fascist. And this judge, who, interestingly enough, was appointed originally by George W. Bush, but then appointed by Obama to the federal bench. So I don't know who this guy is connected to. He's got some friends in high places for sure. Here he is, Boasberg, James E. Boasberg. He had the Abreu Garcia case, and he directed that the plane that had Abreu Garcia on it be turned around. Of course, I'm sorry. The plane with the detainees be turned around. Of course, Trump ignored that. That didn't happen. He oversaw grand jury disputes related to the special counsel's investigation into efforts to overturn the 2020 elections. Most notably, he ruled in 2023 that former Vice President Pence had to testify to the grand jury, a decision that provided key evidence for the investigation. He also presided over many cases for individuals charged in the January 6th Capitol riot. That include people that were, coerced into testifying against Trump because they were told that they and their families would be arrested if not. We have January 6th. He's now part of the encrypted messaging app. I forget the name of that. The one that Signal, the Signal app case. So he's part of that. He blocks requirements for Medicaid recipients in several states, Arkansas, Kentucky, and New Hampshire during the Trump administration, finding plans failed to consider the core objective of providing medical assistance. In other words, Trump wanted them to work or wanted some people off Medicaid, and he's blocking that. He's been involved in many cases. I mean, it's too many here to read them all. Many cases that involves Donald Trump. Interesting. Just like the other one who oh no, I've forgotten his name. Damn it. Who convicted Trump or presided over the documents case that Trump was convicted of, that Tish James brought. So these judges just seem to keep on pulling the Trump cases. What is that? Is that law, coincidence, or is it shady? So Artic, oh my God! I forgot the whole thing because I want to say Crossfire Hurricane. So this whole operation by the FBI, by Ray, by Jack Smith, by Boasberg, by who else was involved in it? Merrill, what's his face? It's all like it mirrors what Venezuela is doing, what Maduro is doing. It mirrors what Cuba did. It mirrors what fascists have done over and over again, what Chinese dictators have done. This is crazy shit, and we need to understand that we, as American people, we can't accept this, and we can't let it be noise in the background. We have to talk about it. We have to let people know that this happened, and we can't let the Democrats shrug it off or say that we're, trying to detract from something by talking about this. This is fact. The documents have been released. Look for them. Read them, share them. It's very similar to what's going on now with Obamacare and the reason that the government is shut down, that the Senate has shut down the government. If you take a look and read that CR, it is squeaky clean. Squeaky clean. There is no reason whatsoever that these Democrats should have closed down the government over this CR. It's public knowledge. It's out there. Get it, post it on your Facebook page. It's on my Facebook page. Share it if you want. We can't let the likes of Merrick Garland and Christopher Wray and Jack Smith take away our rights to vote for who we want. And that's what they were trying to do. They were trying to get rid of Trump. They were trying to put him away forever. Tish James and the other one in Georgia. I know, I'm sorry, I've just forgotten 1,000 names mostly because I'm so fucking aggravated that, we're not seeing this on NBC. Oh, by the way, the worst news station in the fucking world. We're not seeing this on ABC. We're not seeing this on CBS. Just one place. It has the balls. Well, two. Newsmax and Fox have the balls to show this. Otherwise, you've got to look for it on state, shows like this. So please share with everybody you can. This is just no good. Let me just put it this way to you. If the socialists take over New York City, they take over the Board of Elections. If they take over the Board of Elections, they will ensure that there will never be another Republican elected ever, because they'll change rules, they'll do all kinds of things. They're notorious for it, right? And they can, because they're going to have Democrat judges all the way up the chain, right to the Court of Appeals. Okay. Not only that, but if enough big cities elect socialists, they're going to do that in those big cities. And what happens then? Then they change district maps. Then they make sure there's no Republican in the state at all. And eventually what happens is what they were trying to do with opening the borders, getting all these extra people in to be counted in the census so that they get more Congress people, so that they can impact the Electoral College and that they can control the situation so that we never have another Republican president. It might all sound like conspiracy theory, but it's all fact and it's all real. Before, when I would say things like that, people would tell me I was crazy. But now we have the stuff to back it up and we see it happening in real time. So I don't live and die for the Republican Party. I'm a Republican, period. Do I love what's going on there? Absolutely not. I'm a middle of the road Republican. I kind of kick a little left, as a matter of fact. I'm a moderate Republican because I was raised in New York, right? And I have friends who are moderate Democrats. So I don't live and die for my party. I don't give a shit about the Republican Party. I'll criticize them. It's my party. I'll criticize them. What I am first and foremost is a patriot. Yes, I'm MAGA, because MAGA doesn't need to be Republican. We just need to be patriots. We just need to uncover the truth and make sure that everybody knows the truth. We have to take the blinders off and we have to stop pretending that the government is there to care for us. The government's not there to care for us. The government is us. And if we give too much power to the government and to the bureaucrats, then there won't be any us anymore. The problem with socialism is that somebody's got to decide who gets more stuff. Right? Because you can't possibly be everybody is absolutely even. Do you think next year we will have a Republican governor? No, I do not. And I'm going to tell you why. Because if Cuomo's in, possibly. If Mamdani is in, no. Because if Mamdani gets enough people to vote for a socialist or Democrat or registered or whatever in the city kills the state because there's so many people in the city. So if Mamdani organizes, which is what he's the best at, he's not good at government. He doesn't do government. He does organizing. His goal and his job inside the Democrat Socialists of America is to organize and to grow the party. So if he grows the party, what's going to happen is that Republicans are going to leave. They're certainly going to leave New York City, right? Whatever's left of them, they're going to leave New York City. Seeing the writing on the wall, they're going to leave New York State too, because Kathy Hochul is leaning far, far left, right? They're all pushing far left. So Elise Stefanik could be the best person in the world, and that's why she's not announced yet, because she's waiting to see what happens. Because why give up her congressional seat where she's solid and risk losing it? She'll stay right where she is, and we will watch the erosion of, New Yorkers are going to go. Right now, they're trying to go after Nicole Maliotakis, the one Republican in all of New York City. They're suing because they're saying that she doesn't have enough minorities in her district. Well, Nicole's district happens to be heavily Hispanic. And Nicole is Spanish. I mean, she's Cuban, half Cuban. So these assholes are suing that there are not enough minorities in the district. Well, she is a minority, Nicole. It's just crazy. But they're trying already to get rid of the one Republican in all of New York City. Do you understand what I'm saying, Lou? Do you see how this goes? It becomes a mushroom cloud. It becomes a mushroom cloud. And here's the other problem that I spoke about before, is as long as Republicans don't put a competitive races against every single Democrat, people sit on their hands because they know their votes don't count, and it only counts in a Democrat primary. So more and more people start to register Democrats so they can vote in the primary and have a choice, at least amongst Democrats. And that, when you don't have a two-party system anymore, that's it. That's you might as well be an authoritarian government. That's what we have now in New York State. We have every single major office is held by a Democrat. And we saw with what Tish James did, Jumaane Williams did, Bragg did to Trump, and all the judges, and where, and of course, the jury pool comes from Manhattan. Find me a Republican in Manhattan. Find me a conservative pro-Trump person that lives in Manhattan. That's going to serve on a jury. Remember, they have to be a little bit dim because they couldn't get themselves out of jury duty. Find me that person. Did he have a trial? And did his real peers convict him? No. His peers didn't convict him. So that's what happens when you have a one party. And it works both ways, even when it's the Republicans. Even in places like South Carolina and Georgia at one point, Louisiana, Arkansas, whenever anything is ruled by just one entity, you're going to have corruption. It just works that way. That's what happens. The balance is needed. The best thing that could happen to New York is that a proposition go on the ballot now for nonpartisan elections. Because if you have nonpartisan elections in New York, you'll see you're going to wind up getting some conservatives into office. And that's the best chance we have. When I was county chair, I was pushing for that. And my Republican elected officials were giving me hell. And I explain to them, you can't just worry about your own ass. You have to consider everything. You have to consider your state. So if you have a nonpartisan election in New York City, like the special elections are nonpartisan. If we could do that all the time, even better. Even better. You're going to wind up with some conservatives in office. Trust me. Trust me, trust me, trust me. So long as it's a nonpartisan election. So if somebody puts a proposition on the ballot for that, that might actually get conservative-minded people, or at least moderates, out to the polls next year. And that might help Elise Stefanik if she decides to run. But if it's Mamdani, I have absolutely no nothing, no trust in the system, and his job is going to be to expand the socialist Democrats of or Democrat Socialist of America. That's what his job is now. As I said, he hasn't passed one bill, he hasn't done one thing, and they have the unions with them. The DSA has the unions with them. They have all of these entities that are sucking on their tit, and they do nothing for them, not one thing for them. And I teased before, they're like the invasion of the body snatchers. They look for these host bodies that have organization already created, and then they infiltrate that organization. They suck everything out of it. They make it into something of their own, and then they leave it and they go somewhere else to make more of themselves. So they have to keep on multiplying. That's their whole focus, the Democrat Socialists of America. And it's not going to stop until we are no longer a democracy. We are a socialist nation, and we're not capitalists anymore, and they want the whole world to be socialist. Do you think the real estate market will tank if he gets in? Absolutely. Absolutely. I think right now with City of Yes, you probably have a good shot of selling your house, because developers will take it to tear it down to make multifamily dwellings. Because remember, there's not a lot of, the City of Yes is not really going to impact the brownstones in Queens and Brooklyn and the Bronx and Manhattan, because if you tear those down and then you rebuild them, then you reset the property tax base. Because once you do a tear down, your property taxes are now assessed on current value. Those brownstones, those 200-year-old brownstones, 150-year-old brownstones in Manhattan and Queens and the Bronx, and Brooklyn, their taxes can only be raised, I think it's by 5% a year. This is the Bloomberg formula. So I think it's only 5% a year. It can't go up more than 5% a year, and it can't go up more than 20 in 5 years. So they're never going to be torn down and have a new property tax assessment. That's why Staten Island and Queens, the property tax is so unfair to Staten Islanders and Queens, because there were a lot of standalone single family homes that were small and too small for today's families. So they tore down those buildings on those properties, and they reset their taxes in the 2000s. And so the assessment went sky high. So, you might have been paying like $4,000 a year, and then you did a tear down and fixed up your house, and now your assessed value had to be market value from the day that you got your C of O for the new building. So you understand? So now, developers are going to look to Staten Island, to Queens, to certain affluent parts of the Bronx to buy property, because they can do the tear down, and now what was a 1-family house can be a 5-family house, and they don't even have to go through a city planning for the approval. They'll just go through a City of Yes. So now's the time that you can name your price. You're going to screw your neighbors, but now's the time to name your price. And that's what it was designed for. It was designed so that we get the white people out of New York City, that we get the affluent Black people out of New York City, that we get the affluent Hispanic people out of New York City, homeowners, right? Or blue collar workers, or anybody that might tilt a little bit to the right. They want them out. They want to replace them with people who are going to vote blue without any problem. So now's your time to sell. I'm late, been busy with dinner. Good evening. Hello, Beer Nut. That's okay. We're still going. I am now officially 20 minutes over, but we were talking about Arctic frost, and we were talking about the New York race. Okay, so Tuesday, we're going to start at 7, and we will go on until we know what happened in the New York City race. We're going to have the live updates, and we'll show them here. We'll do Virginia. Virginia's polls close at 7, New Jersey's polls close at 8, and New York's polls close at 9. So we'll start at 7 and probably continue until we know what's going on in New York. And we'll get the live update from New York. So I could get the live update from Virginia, and I could get the live update from New York. New Jersey is going to be a little bit harder. We got to go county by county, but we could do that. So I love you all, and thank you so much for joining me. I'm sorry if I sound harsh. You're very welcome, Lou. You're very welcome. And my intention is not to sound harsh. My intention is, for people to not buy the spin. Right. That was what I did for a living. I spun the message. So now my job is to cut through the spin and to give the truth. And that's what I'm trying to do. Love you all. See you tomorrow for election eve coverage of the Virginia, New Jersey, and New York City race. Please share, like, subscribe to Rumble and to YouTube. Let's Talk News Media. Bye-bye.